the entire golf ball business was built quality first, and they've sustained that for how long now?
76 years, 75 years, something like that, where
So
they've been the number
that
one
to me
selling
is
ball. Like,
absolutely
this is
insane. And then you have this mindset like that, call it Costco, right? Kirkland, the Walmart ball, whatever it happens to be, that, you know, these guys can just go out and randomly source a golf ball from, at best, a B-tier Asian factory.
right.
And convince people that it's every bit as good as a Titleist. To me, that's laughable.
What is up, everybody? How you living? NoPuttsGiven. It's November,
Holy cow.
which means we're closer to turkeys than we are to birdies in my part of the world. Are you still playing or no?
I could be. As I mentioned to you previously, my daughter had sectionals over the weekend.
That's right. Swimmer.
Diver. Damn it.
Diver. Don't confuse me.
Swimmers get all the credit.
Yeah.
But
They're
diving
easier.
counts too.
It does.
So
It does.
she finished fifth in the section. Her teammate won.
Okay.
But she did, as a sophomore, hit number 9 on the all-time record board for her school. So
That's pretty sweet. Top 10 ever in the history of the school as a sophomore. That's
2 more years.
That's reaching a
More
little
years to
further than
climb.
you did in high school, huh? Tony?
It's such a low bar, but it's such a low bar.
I understand. I know. I was all neighborhood.
That's right.
You know, there's that. It's like you said, it's November, so it's an interesting time, right? Like I said, we're kind of in this call it like kind of equipment purgatory. You know, new stuff's coming out. We saw some on the conforming list last week. Guys are playing it. We'll know more kind of as we go. But Ben Griffin, there's still tournaments, right? Like the season that never stops.
I was actually surprised to learn that.
The whole, you know, I mean, a year from now we'll have the good championship with who knows what. I mean, that could be interesting. But yeah, we're in this kind of weird time. Ben Griffin wins again. 3rd time in a calendar year. It's a big deal, I think, in the sense that it's hard to win on any tour. You know, and it's hard to win anytime in a professional event. And he won again. Biggest thing in his bag, though, is he switched out the putter. He'd been going with little Cameron Circle T, again, Newport style, plumber's neck, very traditional, and he opted for an all black Taylormade Spider X.
Why not? Why not?
In one. And, you know, I guess my question is, and I said this a couple episodes at some point in time, saying Spider X, in particular Spider family, it's the best putter that nobody really talked about this year at all, and definitely should have. And part of that's, I think, because everything was kind of overshadowed by this no torque, zero torque, low torque, whatever.
Yeah, there were no other putters. No other putters.
There were no other putters. It was kind of a labification, if you will, of the putter industry.
We're not going to do this right now. Excuse me for a moment.
We have
No squeaking.
we have full squeak mode.
Shout out to the Happy Staffy toy company for squeaking toucan. Although if I'd known, if I'd paid attention and read the part where it squeaks, I maybe wouldn't have. Anyway, Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin, it was kind of a labification of the world. Nobody really wanted it, and I get it. It was the primary story for most of the year in terms of equipment, but we have a post up on our socials, and this says PGA Tour winning putters, so I'm assuming this means PGA Tour events only, but still, TaylorMade, 15 wins, and again, yeah, a lot of that's Rory and Scotty.
That other guy.
But
Tommy Fleetwood.
But again, it's Spider X. It's Spider. It's that family. So I guess my question to you is there anything inherently unique or interesting about that design of putter that you're like going, hey, this is, I mean, I have a thought as to why it's overlooked, but what's your take on it? Because Scotty and Odyssey dominate the counts in general across the world. We know Odyssey puts out, number one brand, number one putter played across, which it
Cross
is.
worldwide tours.
Cross worldwide tours, which it is. Ping has made putters for a long time. Maybe hasn't advanced the category like some others have, but I'm a huge fan of what Ping has done. Like I said, it was a lab world leading that. That's more in a retail space, but we saw a lot of them on tour. Yet it's a putter that almost nobody talked about, Spider X, this year that absolutely dominated. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, right, zero torque, semi-torque, low torque, whatever you want to call it, was the putter story of the year. And so you kind of forget that anything else exists. I mean, TaylorMade did well with its entry in that category as well.
ZT,
so,
yeah, for sure. Didn't Michael Kim
I
switch
think
to that one from Lab? Didn't he switch to the TaylorMade ZT just here at the end? I think he did. Not 100%
but,
sure.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think that's part of it. And part of the reason, too, is, like, you can split hairs over individual Spider models, but
right.
Like Spider itself, nothing about it feels new. Even again, right there are new models every now and again, but like to TaylorMade's credit, it has established itself as this ubiquitous common shape where it's not quite an answer, but it is.
It's a winged mallet.
That larger category of putter shapes that everybody has, and those tend to be, I don't want to say boring, but like reliable, well known, and so when somebody wins with one, you're kind of like, all right, yeah, of course, why not, right? So
yeah, the winged mallet should have, like I said, should have gotten more love, I think, this year than it did. But also, there's a benefit to being, like I said, whatever equipment is in the bags of the people that win the most throughout the year, especially when you have a guy like Scheffler, like Rory, and they have multiple wins. Whatever they're bagging is gonna, certainly accelerate that. You could say, in terms of equipment counts and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how 26 goes in terms of revamping stuff, whatever. But if Ben Griffin switches to it, which he did, if he sticks with that and has an exceptional year again, or kind of maintains at all the pace he's on, if he even wins once in 2026, we'll have to put him into that kind of category of guys that switch from not just going from a certain blade to a certain mallet, but going from a blade to a mallet, and all these guys obviously going to a TaylorMade mallet. Just have to make a note of that.
This is his bag. We've talked about it before last time around when he won, but it's the most fascinating one, or among the most fascinating out there. Like just very eclectic mix of brands.
Yeah.
So Mizuno irons, Ping driver, TaylorMade fairway wood, TaylorMade wedges. You mentioned the TaylorMade putter now, and so, and of course the MaxFly Torex golf ball.
Right.
But the thing here is, like, I think inarguably at this point, he is Mizuno's most notable staffer,
without a doubt.
And so you have a guy who, he's your guy. And he's got a one Mizuno wedge to go with two TaylorMade wedges. He's got Mizuno irons, but metal woods he's other.
TaylorMade
mostly
Ping.
Wedges other, putter mostly other, golf ball definitely other.
Yeah.
And like I wonder if at some point, especially like we don't have the details, but
sure,
we know that when Mizuno rolls out its driver, it's going to be billed as largely its greatest innovation ever in the driver category.
Correct. And
you have again their top staffer playing very little of their gear, and this is we've talked about this before. This is exactly what they were trying to get away from, right? This idea of like having staffers that don't play almost exclusively their gear. And most everybody works on some kind of 11 club contract, 11 or 12, but
plus or minus one.
Titleist doesn't write club contracts without the driver. TaylorMade doesn't write club contracts without the driver. And so looking at this, I'm like, man, if you really want to be seen as a force in the metalwood category, you gotta figure this out. You've got to figure out how to get your stuff into the top of the bag at the tour level.
Yeah, and once upon a time in a not too distant past, right, we know that that was part of how Mizuno was moving forward to kind of figure out that identity, right, in metalwoods. It wants to be known as much more than just irons and wedges in particular, but
Full bag company, full-fledged equipment company, right? That's
Right.
everything from driver out down to the golf ball.
right, at which point in
so
time
when
they
you've got-
mandated, right?
Right.
They gave people kind of a year to adjust and then said, hey, contracts moving forward have to include the driver. And it did cost them at least one person I know, Eddie Pepperell,
Yeah.
I think would be the answer to that trivia question. But, and obviously others stayed on. You had people like Keith Mitchell, who, if Keith wins once or twice, he could kind of vie for that flagship person in their lineup. He just hasn't. But he definitely plays more than just the irons. But yeah, I think you're right, is particularly in this day and age, and with what Mizuno says they have coming, they're kind of pushing their chips to the middle, saying, hey, this is as good as we've had ever. And I'll be very, very, particularly, I guess Ben's a really interesting scenario too, because he's playing the Ping 10K, right? And so what that tells me, right, is it's low spin enough, so he doesn't need something that's crazy low spin. He, in this case, is putting a premium on, call it stability, if you want to, forgiveness, whatever. I don't love that term, mixing that with MOI, but that stability element. And we know that the 10 probably isn't the fastest in terms of amount of horsepower, right? Top end ball speed in that driver probably isn't going to keep up with GT3 or Triple Diamond stuff Callaway. So he's like, okay, I'm giving up a little bit, not much in the way of distance. So to me, like, that sets up very favorably for Mizuno to be able to get that out and get something in. I guess this should be a great opportunity for them to do that.
TBD, but I feel like it's almost a necessity, because if you come out and say, like, this is the greatest driver ever in the history of Mizuno.
Yep.
And you've got your top staffer, a Ryder Cup player, and he says, no thanks.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how
see.
it plays out.
We'll see. You told me something interesting earlier, Tony,
That seems unlikely, but okay.
it does, but may have done it on mistake. This company's name means, in Nordic or something,
In
mountains?
Finnish, from what I found.
Was it Finnish?
Finnish, yeah, I
Finnish,
believe
it
so.
means
don't hold me.
mountains?
That's on the internet, so who knows, but
means mountains. This company's name means mountains in Finnish, according to one. You heard it here first. Tony Covey is now. What's the answer to that trivia question?
Vuori.
Vuori, spelled Vuori. Comfiest damn stuff on the planet. I have to agree. I got my Sunday joggers last week and a t-shirt, and I may or may not have worn them like 3 days in a row over the weekend. And it's, I don't know what to say other than it's ridiculously comfortable. Like it's interesting you name mountains, but it does not make me want to go on the mountain. It makes me want to lay on my couch and be comfortable.
Well, if you got enough pillows piled up, you could have a mountain of pillows.
That's true.
That's all I got.
That's true. We'll figure out if it's mountain worthy. I'm in Colorado. I can take it out for a spin. But we do have a little code. We'll link to it for you if you're interested in trying the world's most comfortable clothing, according to me. It's we'll link it down below. Get a little coupon too. Get a little discount this time of year because you're trying to save money. I'm trying to save money. Nobody wants to spend more. If we can spend less, that's great. So there you go. Overrated or underrated?
Oh boy.
And I'm shaking these pens at you because this kind of made me think of it. So this is that Golf Inc. Have you seen that stuff on there? It's like claiming to be,
better than a Sharpie.
Yeah, basically better than a Sharpie.
Even better than a Milwaukee Inksol.
Mm-hmm. Saying basically it stays on, forever. I'm going to put it through my own personal kind of hell test this week. and we'll see if it's overrated or underrated. But what got me going on this, we had a post on it over the weekend. Was like, hey, give us your most overrated brand. And good Lord, people are very much in their feelings around this. Around
the internet? You don't say.
You don't say.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question is this. What makes a brand overrated? I struggle with this answer, like overrated brands, because it's basically to me like question like, hey, what brand do you want to bitch about because you don't like something about it, and then you call it overrated? So like, what does it mean for a brand to be overrated?
I think it probably means they have a premium price point and are popular with a large segment, and for whatever reason, right, you might feel like they're not as good as others. I don't know. I didn't look at the results. Like, what are we seeing? Like, who's?
Well, what would you guess? Like, just without seeing the results, what would you guess?
Who would I guess that?
Who would you guess that other people would say? Not necessarily what you think, but who would you guess?
I would guess the top two would be Taylormade and Titleist.
Yeah. Scotty Cameron pops in there a bunch, right? Yeah. And then you get others. People are a smattering, right, of different products and brands. I said Club Champion. That was my answer for the most overrated brand. I didn't think about it from that particular vantage point, but it's an interesting kind of thought exercise into what makes something overrated, or what's fairly rated, or what's underrated. Like, what does it all mean? Getting very existential.
I mean, like I said, it's like almost never is somebody going to say what's the most overrated brand and pick. They're not going to pick a small brand for the most part. Like the target of this particular scenario is always going to be the big brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for whatever reason, right?
Yeah. Somebody has an axe to grind with it. I mean, again, I'm trying to think about it from people's perspective out there, not necessarily what I think. I mean, like, I understand the Scotty Cameron hate. I don't, but I do. Where they say, okay, well, it's a premium price point. Yep, for sure. Can a Scotty Cameron putter that's $500, $600, $800, whatever, do a better job than the other putters that we've tested that are $99, $150?
Well, I mean, in that particular case, there is a fair, I would say, perceived lack of innovation to justify. So, right, late, not there now, right, mm-hmm. but late to the zero torque / low torque, as they're calling it, party.
Mm-hmm.
When we've been talking about face technology, whether it's been, Odyssey inserts, Taylormade's various, pure roll stuff, even roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the list goes on
mm-hmm.
and on.
Mm-hmm.
The descending loft stuff that LA Golf.
Yeah, Cobra has that in all their putters, right?
They license it from them. There's a lot of cool face tech, and you've never seen any of that from Scotty Cameron. So
yeah.
I think there's a perceived lack of innovation with that brand,
mm-hmm. which may lead some people to thinking that it's right.
Yeah, so I get that one, and I'm honestly, hard pressed to argue with it necessarily.
Sure.
But counter to that, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Like,
do it.
We had a post, I think not too long ago, which Sean pulled together a staff post, and I didn't get back to him in time, but it was like, all right, who is the most underrated brand in golf?
Yeah.
And the list from our staff was exactly what you'd expect, right? Because it works the opposite of overrated.
Sure.
Underrated is generally code for, like, who's a small brand that I really like.
Yeah.
Like that's typically how underrated is perceived.
Right.
And I thought about it, and I was like, I would argue you can make a case it's Titleist.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly in the golf ball category.
I know. I want to hear where you're going with this. Yeah.
And I know, like, it's expensive, and I get it. But it's been the undisputed. Ask around, right? Like, they are the quality benchmark for the industry. They're the guys that everybody else is trying to catch, and they admit to that fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's the entire golf ball business was built quality first, and they've sustained that for how long now?
76 years, 75 years, something like that, where
So
they've been the number
that
one
to me
selling
is
ball. Like,
absolutely
this is
insane. And then you have this mindset like that, call it Costco, right? Kirkland, the Walmart ball, whatever it happens to be, that, you know, these guys can just go out and randomly source a golf ball from, at best, a B-tier Asian factory,
right.
and convince people that it's every bit as good as a Titleist. To me, that's fucking laughable.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there are some others that are really good. Right? Like we've talked about Foremost 100 times, you know, Max Fly, Wilson, Vice, all very good golf balls. And I would just a very small step below Titleist in terms of quality.
Yeah.
But again, what did you say, 76 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Of being the leader in something that is incredibly important and easily overlooked. And this is coming from a guy who overlooked it for probably the first 7-8 years I was here. And until you see it, until you start, you know, testing golf balls and ripping things apart and understanding, like, you know, how do you guys do this year after year, model after model? Insane.
I mean, just think about this for a second. 1950, right? Roughly 75 years ago. You think about all the changes throughout industries and products and the golf market. So to be at the top of that through all of those changes, I mean, you look again, you're hard pressed to find products that have that type of, or brands that have that type of market equity and ability to stay not just at the top or near the top, but like in a dominant fashion. Like, I would argue, I agree with you 100%. I'd say, you know, Titleist, ball franchise, Pro V1, whatever, but balls in general might be, when you really look at the history of it, could be severely underrated. As
I've said it before, right? Just like, about anybody.
Like,
and this is where it kind of even gets lost in our own testing, right?
Sure.
Like, just about anybody can make a golf ball that performs as well as a Pro V1 or like a Pro V1. It's because, again, like, performance is to a large degree relative to the needs of the golfer in terms of launch and spin profiles, trajectory, that sort of thing.
Right.
But to make, you know, 1 million of them and then another million and another million and have the differences between any two in that 3 million sample be minuscule, like, I don't think people appreciate what it takes to do that.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So you see, you know, what's overrated. Again, as sometimes it's just code for, hey, it's expensive and I don't see the value, which totally understand. I mean, if you don't see the value, it's like, okay, there's a utility component to it of, hey, this can do the certain job I'm looking for as well as, or close to as well as, a different product at a fraction of the cost. So it's more of a value assessment. You know, okay, totally fine. But then people, you know, it's just an open invitation to rant on whatever brand they don't, you know, particularly like Peter Millar pops in here a couple times. People go, oh yeah, you know, someone say, hey, any polo that costs over $100, Malbon, saw Malbon more than once. You know, so you get some of that stuff.
I mean, how can largely a fashion brand be overrated? Like, you're not seeing any wild performance claims from Malbon, right?
Well, that's
like,
the hard part, because to me then it's just a preference thing, because it's like, yes, I mean, technically, okay, what are you looking for that pair of pants or that hoodie to do? Yeah, absolutely. If it's just clothe you and keep you warm or something, okay. You know, anything more than $7-8 at Goodwill is probably overrated. Totally agree.
Again, that's it, right? If it's a big brand or an expensive brand, it's overrated, and if it's a small brand or a cheap brand, it's largely perceived to be underrated. And I look at it as like, man, like, yeah, some of the big brand stuff maybe doesn't stand out if you really analyze it. But guess what? A lot of the small brand stuff isn't very good either.
Right.
And there are trade-offs that come with lower price point. Nobody wants to acknowledge that. So
yeah,
corners have to get cut. It's not, you know, it's I just roll my eyes every time I go, oh, it's only cost X because they paid tour pros. Like if they didn't pay tour pros, I'm like, do you understand how small that portion of the budget is? Do you understand, like, like you look at like some of these small brands, you go, oh, whoever, pick a brand, oh, they'd be less expensive. They only cost so much because they pay tour pros. And I'm like, well, yeah, there is an expense with that for sure. But you know what? You know why some of these small brands are so cheap? It's because they don't pay R&D. Like they have no in-house R&D. So I'm like, come on, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious, right? Say, hey, Pro V1s, what are they? $55 a dozen. And they say, hey, it's been a tough economy. We understand that. And so next year, we're going to eliminate from every dozen that we sell the cost attributable to pro sponsorships and endorsements. They will now cost $54.25. I'm not saying that's what the number would be, but I don't think it'd be far off.
It doesn't it doesn't turn a $55 golf ball into a $40 golf ball. And I think, like, again, we love the MaxFly product.
Yes,
right? It's a great product. Again, that factory, in my opinion, right now, subject to change as we see what 2026 models look like. Second only to Titleist. But if you don't think that MaxFly is paying Ben Griffin big time money, I would wager probably as a line item, dollar for dollar, more than Titleist pays any single player to use their golf ball.
Probably say the same thing for Lexi.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
yeah.
Let's just be level-headed about it, right?
Right.
So that's
right.
all. Anyway, what's next?
Marshmallows. I've been thinking about this for a long time, Tony.
You and nobody else.
Me and nobody else.
It is hot cocoa season, I guess.
It is. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying is we're getting toward that time of where marshmallows find its way into a lot of things. Marshmallows find into Thanksgiving, because if you got sweet potato stuff and you don't got like the marshmallow on it, ain't happening. You got to have it. Cocoa, etc. So, marshmallow rating scale of softness. This is for forged irons. Okay, so people always, well, how soft is that? And so, yeah, people are going to disagree with this, and they're going to have their own take. Absolutely. So, a couple caveats before we get started. Number one, there are many things that impact how a club feels. We're going to kind of call ceteris paribus on that and hold all those things constant. So that would be things like the softness of the metal, geometry of the design, mass properties, assuming that you have the right shaft, the ball that you're using, where you hit it on the face. Yes, all those things can impact the overall feel of a design. We also know that feel is inherently sound. Right? So feel is what is translated to you at impact via vibrations, right? And the frequency at which those vibrations hit and the duration of that frequency, right? So basically, what's the vibration like? How long does it last? And what level, right, does that frequency hit? Does that seem fair?
That seems about right.
Okay. So, from softest to firmest, and here's going to be kind of my scale. Now, again, why it's the marshmallow scale is because all marshmallows are inherently soft.
I don't know. You leave that bag open for a few months.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking like Snickerdoodle.
You're talking fresh out of the bag.
Talking fresh out of the bag. Maybe you roast the marshmallow and it gets a little crusty on the outside, but still, inherently, it's a marshmallow. So, like, people want to talk about clubs that don't feel great. Typically, clubs that don't feel great, they tend to have higher pitches. They tend to feel hollow. They don't feel solid. And even when struck solidly, they tend to feel loud is the term that I hear. Sometimes they're kind of loud and pingy. Not pingy like the brand, but like ping, not
like the putter.
Not like the putter. Exactly. So,
the putter went
1 to 5. I'm sorry. 1 to 10. Dead middle of the road is KYOEI. Kyoi. So, again, for our Japanese faithful, out there. A lot of
Don't
different.
see a lot of those here on retail shelves.
No, we don't. And you're not going to see a lot of like main U.S. kind of brands on my list here. Well, you'll see they're like in the 8, 9, 10 area. But middle of the road. Here's a brand made there. I don't know if you can see that. Makino.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just making these up.
Yep.
Makino.
Yeah, very middle of the road. I find it to be kind of the most balanced forging house, meaning
I have not heard of that brand.
yeah, it's exceptional. Shohei Nomura,
GDM stuff.
yeah, Shohei is the man behind it. There's also another brand, NNRG. It's kind of this, I'm calling it like a neo JDM brand, kind of like what's the next wave of these brands that we've heard of forever, right? You have, your Miura and Endo stuff and Fujimoto and even Mizuno to a degree in their relationship with Chuo, etc. But like those kind of old school, hardcore JDM brands, they've been around for a long time, relatively speaking. On the other side, you have like, okay, what's going to eventually replace those? And that's a brand that I would put in there, Makino. Like I said, it's dead middle of the road for me. Like, it's a very easy reference point for this type of field discussion because it is solid. It is balanced. It feels great. It's just like you open up the bag, pop the marshmallow, perfect. Nothing to say, oh, that was too soft. Like Goldilocks, dead middle, love it.
Just fine.
Just fine. Wonderful. We're going to go a step firmer. Okay? And again, this isn't bad firm. It's and in fact, the next one that I'm going to list is one of the most popular irons both in the US and across the world, and that's anything that's kind of made at Endo. So here's a brand that we're familiar with. This is Proto Concept. Okay.
Knew that one.
Yep.
That one. I know where you're going next.
So
I know where you're going next.
Srixon. Okay. Brands that are made in general. These are forgings, right? Done at Endo, Epon, EPON, right? Is the house brand there, and to me, these tend to feel just a hair firmer than the middle of the road QA stuff. Do they feel fantastic? Yeah, absolutely. These all feel fantastic. They're all subjective. So you have that. Beyond that, I don't have any in hand here. Miura. Biggest difference with Miura that some people kind of note is what they call a spin welded hosel, right? Where most irons are forged one piece, head and neck, all together. Right? Miura does it separately. They take the hosel part, that's forged separately, and then it's spin welded, two pieces welded into the head. They say they do it for spec tolerance reasons. Some people say, well, why would you interrupt
the grain structure?
Exactly. The grain flow forging. Well, that's our Mizuno people. But in terms of how something feels, right, and how those vibrations move throughout the club head, etc., you introduce a break, right, there at the hosel by doing that. I still think Miura feel very, very good. They feel fantastic. I just put them kind of there. Then we get to kind of this 8, 9, 10 area, and this is where I'm going to put brands like Titleist, Taylormade, Callaway, like the new X Forge stuff, super, super good, really soft. A lot of these are forged in places that aren't Japan. Okay, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing because what you've seen...
Secret undisclosed locations.
Exactly. It's interesting, like sometimes they won't tell us where they're actually forged. But the reality is...
In a factory.
In a factory downtown. The reality is... Forging's gotten a lot better in mainland China, Thailand for sure, Taiwan absolutely. It's gotten a lot better. It used to be the case if it wasn't, it was like that old Mike Myers sketch, if it's not Scottish, it's crap. It was kind of like that, right? Like if it wasn't forged in Japan, it was like significant step down. We remember when Hanma tried to pull that little trick on us.
Everything is forged in Japan except when it isn't.
Exactly. And so it's like, really? Anyway, forging's gotten a lot better. Like I said, in a lot of these areas, so much so that, like I said, Titleist and others, right? Particularly when you're dealing with multi-material designs, when you're dealing with things like tungsten, you're dealing with, opportunities to introduce other metals. Maybe it's a different face technology, whatever the case is. Absolutely. We're going to put those in there. But now when we get to the softest of the soft, let's see, what do we got here? All right. Here's the S3. Ben Griffin, right? I said Ben. This is, again, basically the JPX Tour footprint, but in an MP packaging. Where did I put this one? Oh, I'm putting this. Yeah, like this is like 1 and 2. I mean, it doesn't get to me more marshmallowy. This is like marshmallow ooey gooey. Like the only thing. Well. Yeah, the only thing that may be more marshmallow is like old school Mizuno with the copper underlay. So like the Tommy, right? Like the TN87s, right? Maybe. But this would be a close second. All right. Then we have Fujimoto.
I'm going to say, I thought we were going to be stuck in a Mizuno museum here.
Oh, we might. We're coming back. Fujimoto. This is definitely like a 2 to 3. These things are just butter. I mean, just super soft.
Again, you mentioned geometry, right? And these are,
look at that.
These are not big ass hollow body.
No, and again, I'm not saying you're going to hit this club particularly far, but if you do center it up, my lord, it's for them. I think it has to do with the annealing product, right? It's not just how hot you get the metal, like when you forge it. It's about how you cool it, right? Because if you cool it super fast, you can get things that are very durable and sharp, like swords. But if you cool it in a certain way over time, say like 72 hours, it can give you kind of a different sense, right? Okay.
Clank, clank.
Clank, clank. Takumi.
Oh, now you're just making these up.
I am. I'm totally making them up. But this is another Kioi one, so that was kind of a good example. Middle of the road, Takumi. Put that one over here. What do we got next?
This is like everybody who, I was just going to say today in brands you've never heard of, but then you go back to Mizuno. So.
Yeah, so these are the 221s. Again, this is kind of in that 2-3 range. You're going, well, what's 3-4
Still got
then?
the plastic on those. You're like,
I still haven't taken. These are the limited edition blue ones. I've not taken the plastic off yet. Nope, not a chance. All right, what's next? Oh, well, this was going to be that example. That was the Strixon. ZXI 7. So again, endo forging. But people are going to ask, what's a 2? What's a 3? What's a 4? Get ready for what Mizuno's coming out with, which is this like S1. Where's that one? Oh, yeah, there it is. I mean, this thing is just dirty looking.
When the knife is as soft as the butter.
Oh. But here's the thing. It's a hair firmer than like the S3. This is what we're being told. So this is going to be an interesting thing to watch with Mizuno with stuff coming out next year. I mean, we've already seen, M13, M15 on the Japanese sites because they're out in every part of the world except the US. And maybe Europe for that matter. But they, if I'm correct here, I believe they addressed some feedback from tour players basically saying they wanted something that felt, and firmer maybe isn't the right word, but a different sensation at impact that wasn't quite as soft. Which
they wanted that 1 week old marshmallow.
Yes. Yes. So that's your 3-4. Yeah.
Soft, but with a little bit of a crust.
Exactly. And so that's going to be them. That's going to be them moving forward. So just to recap, old school Marshmallow, old school, super ooey gooey Mizuno, original, copper underlay. Love it, right? Then maybe Mizuno without the copper underlay, coming back to the copper underlay, Fujimoto, Neo Mizuno, this like S1, Kioi, right there, smack dab in the middle, like Makino, you got some of that. Endo Forging, Mura. Then we get a bunch of our U.S. brands that are kind of made in other places. And then away we go. So I figured what a great time of year to discuss that, because that's, maybe you disagree. You tell me. Maybe I'm way off. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Last question. How much do you care about dress codes?
Very little. Very little. Yeah, okay, if the course has a dress code and you don't like it, don't play there.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of it's over the top. The don't change your shoes in the parking lot thing is stupid, but look, yeah, if you don't like the rules, don't go.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yep, easy. I think it gets way overblown, is what I think. I think it's a overblown topic. I think, like I said, if you don't like the dress code of the place, don't go. If you don't want to join there, go somewhere else. There's always some place you can play golf and wear whatever you want. Awesome. Love it.
We had the owner of our course earlier this year found a outside player playing without his shirt on. It's completely topless because he got hot. So, like,
yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a dress code everywhere. That's my example.
I mean, right? Wasn't that kind of the old thing? No shirt, no shoes, no service. Yeah. I mean, you can have some bare minimums, I guess, but also like it. Yeah. I think there's another thing of just kind of like situational awareness, where it's like you're going to a friend's wedding at a traditional, very Orthodox Catholic church. Do you show up in swimsuit, flip-flop, and a tank top?
Say Bermuda shorts and a tank top.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. But do you complain to the church that it has like
this is ridiculous, I want to wear flip-flops?
Yeah. I mean, if you go to court and in front of a judge for whatever reason, like, is that the opportunity that you're going to take to say, no, it's a free and equal society, I'll dress however I want? Probably not. So I don't know. I think it's overblown a little bit. It doesn't bother me a whole lot one way or another. I really don't care what people wear when they play golf. You want to dress up, do that, great. You don't, great. It really does not impact me.
Not a thing I care about.
No, not a thing I care about a whole lot. What else, Tony? I feel like that's a lot. Anything you're interested in? Anything else in the world you care about?
Not this one.
Where'd you get that hat?
This is from Boston Scally, where I get all
my
Scally.
That's for your boy Eamon Lynch. Next week we have a guy on Tyler. Got a guy for Links Golf. We're gonna talk a little about golf gloves. Then we'll get to some other stuff. So anyway, till next time, we out.